Chief Keef's influence on rap is bigger than many people give him credit for. Chief Keef opened the door for an entire new sector of rap that has swept the globe. Drill music wasn't a thing before the Chicago-based rapper exploded onto the scene. But over the years, not only do many people not give him his credit due, but we really have to ask, has Sosa fell off altogether? Let's talk about it. I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com, and this is the rise and fall of Chief Keef. Before we get started though, don't forget to smash that like button. It's really only the way that YouTube algorithm will notice us small channels, and it's the best way for us to help to continue grow and spread our reach. But with that being said, let's jump right in. Keith Cozart, better known as Chief Keef, as we all know, was born in Chicago, Illinois on August 15, 1995. He gained fame among the local high school students while he was still a teenager. Sosa grew up in the rough part of Chicago, now affectionately known as O Block. But the musical talent that he possessed shone through all the mud that he currently found himself in. In 2011, Chief Keef first attracted local attention from Chicago's Southside community with his mixtapes, The Glory Road and Bang. But speaking of Bang, in December of that same year, he was arrested for shooting a gun from his car in Chicago's Washington Park neighborhood. He will be placed under house arrest at his grandmom's house for 30 days, followed by another 30 days of home confinement. But while under house arrest, he posted a series of videos to his YouTube account, one of which wound up being the smash hit Don't Like. It would catch the attention of Kanye West, and he remixed the song with rappers Pusha T, Jadakiss, and Big Sean. And as a result, Chief Keef suddenly shot up out of obscurity. In the summer of 2012, Chief Keef was the subject of a bidding war among record labels vying to sign him. While 2012 provided to be a relatively quiet year in terms of his musical output, Chief Keef began the year by signing with Interscope Records. In a separate deal, he was promised his own label imprint, Glory Boys Entertainment. The deal was worth $6 million over a 3-album layout, with an additional $440,000 advance to establish GBE. The deal did give Interscope the right to pull out of the contract though, if Chief Keef's debut album, Finally Rich, releasing on December 18th of 2012, had failed to sell 250,000 copies or more by December of 2013. But as we know, his debut album wound up selling a lot more than that, so he would hang around on Interscope for a little bit. And on his 18th birthday, Chief Keef celebrated by releasing the mixtape, Bang Part 2. It was highly anticipated as his first project following the debut album, but when it came out, it received mixed and negative critical response. On October 12th of 2013, another mixtape, Almighty Sosa, was released. Like Bang Part 2, Almighty Sosa also received mixed reviews, which Chief Keef blamed on too much lean drinking and bad mixing. But after serving his October 2013 jail term, he began working on his second studio album. He also began experimenting with producing his own music in 2014. Later in February of 2014, he announced an EP before his second studio album, which would be called Bang 3, but the EP would be called Bang 4 and be dropped as a preview. The following day, Fredo Santana also announced that he and Chief Keef were going to be releasing an album collaboration. So as you can see, he was super active on the mixtape scene around this time. However, despite his prolific dropping of mixtapes and the street buzz that he had going by then, in October of 2014, Chief Keef was dropped from Interscope Records. He confirmed via Twitter that every project that he had planned, including the release of his long-awaited Bang 3, would still release. But despite being set for a December 2014 release date, Bang 3 never materialized. He will go on to release Big Gucci Sosa though, a 12-track collaborative mixtape with Gucci Mane, as well as Back from the Dead 2, which was made available for digital download from iTunes. Chief Keef self-produced 16 of the 20 songs on the mixtape. He also released Sorry for the Wait, weight as in how heavy a package is, which was a 20-track mixtape in 2015. He announced the coming release of his next album, The Cozart, and signed with Film On Music, a division of media tycoon Alki David, in May of 2015. On July 11, 2015, Melvin Carter, better known by his stage name of Capo, a longtime member of Chief Keef's Glow Gang label, was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting in Chicago. Plus, after the shooting of Capo, the driver of the car reportedly ran over a stroller holding a 13-month-old Dylan Harris, who sadly also didn't make it. Chief Keef announced on Twitter that he will be holding a free benefit concert as a tribute to Capo and encouraged concert goers to donate to the Harris family. By now, Sosa was at least wise enough to get the hell out of Chicago, as he was now a famous target. Not to mention, he was constantly being picked on by cops and city officials in his hometown. He packed up and moved to the hills of Beverly, leaving behind a sketchy past in the Windy City. He wasn't just hot on the streets though, he was also hot with the cops. So much so that he had planned to do a scheduled show back home via hologram so as to avoid warrants from a soundstage in Beverly Hills. The concert, organized by Hologram USA and Film on Music, was planned to be held in Chicago's Red Moon Theater. It faced a series of delays after then Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel's office claimed Chief Keef was an unacceptable role model, unquote, and that his music promoted violence. Even though that concert would be shut down, they would get a chance to use the hologram at the nearby Craze Fest in Hammond, Indiana, to make a plea for peace in Chicago, stating, quote, "Stop the violence, stop the nonsense, stop the killing. Let the kids grow up, man. Before performing, I don't like." Hammond Mayor Thomas McDermott Jr. had the city's police department shut down the generators powering Chief Keef's hologram. McDermott was quoted later in saying, "I don't really know much about Chief Keef. All I heard is that he makes a lot of songs about gangs and shooting people." In March of 2016, Chief Keef tweeted that he was retiring from rap. The announcement came as his musical output had began to slow down, and he was expressing displeasure with all of the rappers that was now snatching his sound. However, later in the year, he was featured on MGK's song Young Man. He also released a 17-track mixtape, 2017, in January of 2017. Somewhere around this time, he would also fall out with a few of his GBE partners. We won't go into deep detail on that, but there's a few videos out there if you want to get more into specifics. Suffice to say, it was typical shit that normally happens when one friend gets hot in rap and tries to bring his other friends along with him. At some point, those other friends get tired of playing second fiddle and want to branch out and become more of a role player of their own. Things weren't going too good at his new label home either. Chief Keef had reportedly signed a 7-album 360 deal with the Greek label head, which to me sounds like a pretty bad deal on Sosa's part. But it didn't really matter at the end of the day anyway, because shortly after signing it, the contract was suspended. Alki David cited contract violations as the reason for the suspension, stating, quote, "Chief Keef's contract was suspended 2 weeks ago because his management went off and did a tour without our approval," David said. Quote, "Not happy with the direction they're taking him in," end quote. Sounds to me like Alki was just mad that Chief Keef went off to get a bag under the table without kicking up his cut. Well, see, kids, that's why 360 deals aren't always the best thing. Alki went on to say, quote, "Same shit over and over again, limiting his appeal to a wider audience. And I'm not saying that he should sell out, just be more prolific," end quote. Seems to me that he thought he was getting a hungry Sosa that had dropped tons of mixtapes in the past, when in reality, he was getting a now wealthy and well-fed version that wanted to do things on his own terms. Chief Keef would also later have the opportunity to join Apple Music as their first rap act, but he turned it down, stating, quote, "I don't know, I just didn't do it." In the years since, you don't hear much about Chief Keef. He seems to be happy laying back and enjoying the success that he attained at his peak. Gone are the days of fiendish mixtape drops, and it feels like Finito was his last big solo hit. When you ask why, I personally think that in part, he's his own biggest roadblock. I mean, sure, he was charting a path that technically no one had traveled in the same way that he was traveling it, but he could have been and should be bigger than what he is. Plenty of rappers who've taken up the flag pay homage to Chief Keef, including Lil Uzi Vert and Lil Pump on record. Not to mention, he was the first one to really make drill music a thing, and today it's all over the place. Practically every major city has a drill scene, even all the way in the UK. On the flip side, many have saddled Chief Keef with the blame for youth violence, as the main component to drill music is, well, running drills. It'll always be a debate whether rappers like Chief Keef contribute to street violence or if they're just simply a product of it. But for good or bad, Chief Keef has been a big part of the evolution of hip-hop. But what do you think? Are you a fan of Sosa? Do you think it's fair to blame him for street violence? Hit us in the comment section and let us know. Also, if you made it this far, then that must mean that you liked the video, and if so, smash that like button for us. It helps us continue to grow and get noticed by the YouTube search algorithms so that we can get more eyes on our video and hopefully at some point make this a full-time thing. Also, if you haven't already, smash the subscription button and the notification bell to be updated every time we drop a new video just like this one. But with that being said, I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com signing out until next time. Peace.